Is proudly powered by Battleborn Batteries. Let the power of lithium take you on your journeys across the outdoor world. Battleborn Batteries designs and assembles the industry's top choice for lithium-ion batteries right here in the USA. Reliable, safe, and long-lasting, Battleborn makes for the sustainable and lightweight drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries. Ready to make the switch to lithium and the switch to green energy? All batteries are in stock now. Shop today at battlebornbatteries.com.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Lines In Live. I'm your host, Justin Patrick, and with me tonight is co-host David Best. We are powered by Battleborn Batteries and presented by Primary Tackle. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We got a great show for you. We're going to be talking, having some fun, talking about the good, the bad, the ugly of Broken Bow. David's already left. He already knows. Oh man, that's what's fun about these shows, man. We get to get on here and talk about our mistakes and have fun doing it. So, but there's so much to fishing. It's all unpredictable, and at the end of it, if you can't laugh about your mishaps and stuff, although David didn't have, well, you may have missed some fish or something, but we'll get into that. But if you can't laugh at yourself, man. Take a second and ask yourself.
Too serious otherwise.
Exactly. So, fortunately, David and I are not doing this for a living. We're not putting food on the plate or making putting money in our pockets doing it. That's needed. So when we don't do well, we can have fun. But we got David. We're approaching the the St. Jude Kayak Open. It's coming up in 2 weeks. And we've been talking about for a couple of months now. We got, there's quite a few people who signed up, but you received a little bit of intel about a recent tournament that went on, and I want you to share that.
Peanut Craftfish there Saturday, and they literally just stroked them. I mean, 24 pounds and some change to win, 19 pounds to get into the top 5.
That's pretty impressive, man.
There were a ton of that 12 to 14 pound bags. I mean, they were on fire. My buddy Vic, he didn't do well. I mean, he had a 12 or 13 pound bag, but then decided to cull down and started culling down, trying to get that smallest limit because he knew he'd already talked to a couple people, knew he wasn't even going to be close. But he had, what did he tell me? I think he caught 27 fish on a buzzbait.
Oh man!
So it sounds a lot like Broken Bow this weekend. There was a lot of fights going on. So
yes,
it was. But they smoked them this weekend. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a really fun event for some guys. I think we're going to have a lot of fish to be judging. I think we're going to be busy. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun one. So.
Yeah, I definitely hope so, man. That's reassuring. It's good news, and it's good for the future of this particular event, because as in order to maintain success with any kind of event, the angler's got to be catching fish. So Yeah, we saw at Broken Bow, a lot of people were, we were catching a lot of,
Oh my God.
13, 14, 15-inch fish. But, dude, it was fun. So people want to come back,
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, the big ones are fun, they're great, but, they tell the stories. But when you're catching a lot of fish like we were, it's just a buttload of fun. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I told you in practice, if I could catch fish the way I caught them on Friday, I would not care how I did, and I really was not broken up by
Yeah.
not getting in that top 15 or not getting a check. I mean, because I just caught a crap ton of fish for 3 days, and it was a ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun when you come home and your fingers are all tore up from the fish and everything. You just look at it, you're like, it feels like a good day, a good hard day of work,
Better than a
But-
good hard day at work.
Yeah, but just to recap or reiterate, the mail-in registration deadline has come and passed. That was the 15th, but you're still not out of luck. You can show up on the 28th at the Batesville Civic Center between 1 and 3 p.m. and pay your money that way. If you can't make it for whatever reason, like one of our friends, Ashley, he's going to bring me the money and I'm going to pay his registration for him. He's not going to be in that area on Saturday. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So if you got any situation, like we were mentioning, just let us know, myself or David, and we'll do everything we can to get you squared away. So first place prize, man, Hobie Passport 12. Yeah, not a PA, but still a very excellent boat. Very, very customizable boat. I'm not going to call it a starter kayak because it comes with the the Hobie Mirage drive. Great drive. And it's just a very, very awesome boat to get out and go fishing. You can fish tournaments in it, or you can go out and enjoy a day on the lake. So thank you to Hobie as well as S.W. Wilson for supplying us with that giveaway. That's very much appreciated. And then on top of that, Corky's Barbecue has stepped up, and they are sponsoring the kayak event through supplying all the anglers with a meal whenever you check in at the end of the day. So go out, go fish hard, have a lot of fun, wear yourself out, show up to the check-in. There's going to be a lot of other giveaways from the bass boat side and stuff like that. And then we're going to give you a meal. So send you home with a full belly. So thank you to Corky's. Much appreciated on that. But yeah, anything else I'm missing on that particular event, David?
No, I mean, it's going to be a pretty simple thing. I mean, you're going to register on TourneyX. It works a little differently in that for those of you that have fished a Bassmaster event, it's going to work a lot like that. In that, what'll happen is we're going to send you an email and invite you basically to go find the tournament, give you a passcode, and that's the way you're going to go register since we're not paying through that program. Dwayne cut us a little bit of a deal on the registration fees. We're paying that out of the store just so that we're not taking anything out of the angler money. Or from St. Jude either. So, I mean, that's the whole point of this, is to raise money for St. Jude. And, it's a great cause. It's one I've raised money for years and years. I've spent a lot of time and energy there, toured the facility numerous of times. If you ever get the opportunity to go tour St. Jude and see some of the things that they do, it is definitely a eye-opening trip. So if you do get that opportunity, you should go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good stuff. It's a very positive thing that we're doing. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. And for my first year. So get signed up, guys. Let us know and be on the lookout. I've got all the emails from everybody that's registered so far. David and I are going to be, we're going to get together real soon because we're coming down to crunch time, and we're going to put together, we're going to do we're going to do a video much like this where we're going to go over the tournament rules and try to answer all the questions that we can. And then we're going to send you guys, we're going to put that on our website at linesandyakfishing.com. And then we will give that to Steve Cook, and he can put it on the St. Jude website, or at least a link to it. But be on the lookout for that, because I'm going to send you guys an email with that link to be able to watch that captain's meeting. So Man, I heard that the guys at WTBY, they had a great tournament. A lot of guys were catching them. It took, you had to be in the 50s to get into that top 5.
Yep.
I think they had around 25-ish anglers show up to that event, and so that was, they fished from, I think, Paris, and maybe they even took it all the way up to the Kentucky Dam, but Kentucky Lake all the way to Pickwick. But you had to put in at a Tennessee ramp, so it basically puts you right there, in Coons. That was kind of the cutoff. Ron Butler Jr., he won it. Ashley Alt was right behind him, missed it by a 1/4 inch, and then Chuck Smith, followed up in 3rd. So good little turnout, man. I was excited to hear those guys did good, and I didn't. Well, I know that Butler Jr. and Senior. I think I heard that they were fishing below the Pickwick Dam, and they were catching a lot of smallmouth. So,
hey, did you see the picture of that big one that Ron Jr. caught?
Yeah, I did. Man,
that was freaking football. I mean, belly stuffed.
Yeah, I know they were taking advantage of those Motor Guide XI3s on their PAs. So I don't know, man. Those little things can sure help out in the right time.
You know what? I wished I had one on Friday, because by the time I pedaled my 8 to 10 miles Friday, Saturday, and 7.5 on Sunday,
yeah,
I had some tired legs this weekend. Monday.
Yeah, yeah, you were passed out about 4 or 5 o'clock on Saturday.
I was beat. I was exhausted. I have not been that tired in a while.
Yeah. Well, so guys, we went to Broken Bow this past weekend in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. My first time there. David fished last year for the Hobie Bass Open Series. Great venue. Cool little area. Not a lot going on in the area, but definitely enough to kind of keep the guys entertained and whatnot. Some restaurants and whatnot. David Walker, yeah, it's a lifesaver. Yeah, I know you're enjoying yours now, seeing the benefits of it. Hey, by the way, are you going? You're not going to Smith Lake this weekend, are you, David? Post it up in the comments. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you go out there and catch 30, 40, sometimes even 50 fish in a day. So I mean, but let's talk a little bit about there's a lot to be learned from this tournament, because it seemed like, yeah, you can go out there and throw anything at them, but that wasn't really the case here. I mean, on Saturday and Sunday were a lot different. You and I, corresponded a lot about how we were catching them and stuff. And so talk about your day one, David, kind of, how it was maybe somewhat similar to what you were doing in practice, or what were the differences and kind of how it progressed for you on day one on Saturday.
My day one, Saturday, and practice were basically the same days, more or less. Other than I didn't pedal quite as far on. I probably did pedal just as far on day one as I did on practice day. But I spent a lot of time throwing 2 of my favorite baits, throwing a little top water and throwing a spinner bait and catching the crap out of them. I probably caught 40 fish in practice, which I normally don't like to catch fish on practice. But I wasn't even trying. I mean, I was literally pedaling the boat 4 miles an hour, going down one side of the bank, went way up the river, and then pedaled down the opposite side of the bank, way down the river, and caught fish literally everywhere I went.
Yeah.
I mean, it was stupid. It was just stupid. I mean, not even trying to catch fish, I was catching fish. Catching good ones. I had 82, 83 inches in practice. And day one was exactly the same. I get to the area that I really wanted to fish and get down there. I immediately started catching fish. I mean, by 7:30, 8 o'clock, I had a decent limit, 75 inches or so, and upgraded all during the day. I mean, it's a ½ inch here, quarter inch there, an inch there. I mean, I had a few little mishaps. I mean, look, that's going to happen.
Oh yeah, of course.
Those lessons learned kind of thing. You know, I got a little sloppy on day one, and I tangled up my little favorite Mega Bass Pop X in a bush and didn't retie it. And about 5 casts later, a 3 or 4 pounder decides to devour it and take it with him.
Oh no, you lost it?
Oh yeah, it was my last one.
Oh man.
So I had to go to my little sub, which is a little perch colored one that they do, similar to that other one that I like. Yeah. And about halfway through the day there, bang it up against the side of the kayak, and it starts sinking every time I threw it. So, you know, I done knocked a hole in the side of it. So okay. Then I went to a backup in my third, which my third still was catching fish. I mean, it was a little shad colored one because I was doing 2 different things. So I was fishing butt brush on one side of the bank on the river, and I was fishing a bluff wall on the other side. And so I was literally going back between 2 different sets, 2 different kinds of fish, catching them 2 different ways, and just having an ever-loving blast. I mean, if you've never been to Broken Bow Lake, there's some gorgeous scenery there. I took a couple of great pictures on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I need to post those. I'll post those a little bit later of, you know, the little bend in the river I was fishing. That fog had rolled in really good, and it was just like gorgeous.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful lake. It reminds me a lot of Heber. But it's a neat little town. I love it there. I mean, I fished it last year, so I'd go back this year. If they go back again next year, I will go back again.
Yeah, I will
Hopefully,
too.
I'll be a little more rested, and I'll be able to go enjoy Hochatown a little bit. But, you know, it is what it is. I was too tired. There's another lesson to be learned out of all that, and I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons to be learned, because I'm gonna tell you guys. I mean, this was you know, it sounds like all gravy and everything, but this was a different type of event that you're typically not used to fishing kayak tournaments, because there's a lot of different dynamics going on here. So, you know, you're out in the middle of nowhere for one. They were improving the cell towers, switching all the cell towers over to 5G. And so, you know, there was already a cell service issue, but the way that the lake is set up, it's not like a TWRA where there's a boat ramp like there is a Walgreens on every corner. You know, it's very much set up for recreation, boaters and stuff like that to get out there, families and, you know, pleasure boaters and whatnot. It's very much set up for that. Of course, you know, bass boat guys, and it's not a huge lake. I think it's like 14,000 acres. So it's not a huge lake, but it's not small either. So, you know, basically there's about 5 ramps that are positioned closer to the dam, and they're all within about a mile of each other. So, you know, you can imagine, you know, all 5 of those ramps, you know, you're basically kind of fishing some of the same areas, you know, that at least that same section of the ramp. A lot of guys, you know, that put in there were having to make really long pedals if they wanted to get away from the other competition or get away from pleasure boaters. And then the only other option that you had was to make about an hour drive way up the river. You had a bunch of county roads that just went for miles and miles and miles, all the way back, you know, to dead end, you know, into primitive campsites. I know David was kind of lucky to have an actual boat ramp, you know, at a couple places that you went. But where I put in, it was a primitive campsite, and basically you just kind of found an area to dump your kayak in, which there was quite a few places. But I mean, you know, it was that's just the way it was. So, I mean, it took a long time to get down these roads, and I'm gonna tell you guys now, I like pulling my trailer. Some people don't like pulling a trailer, but I did not like pulling my trailer down that gravel road, because you had to go so slow, because it just wasn't like a straight gravel. There, like the mountainous terrain like would come up through the road, and it would be super rigid and stuff. So I mean, if you were to fly over that with your trailer is going to bounce all over. You're probably going to break something. So, you know, there was, yeah, go ahead.
No,
yeah. I mean, it just, you know, there was a lot of different challenges. You know, so for me, we'll get into more and more of it, and this is not a complaint fest. It's more of a learning curve for more than anything. But, you know, it just you had to take your time. You had to really plan way ahead to get back to town. Some guys were finding a little bit of service here and there, but, you know, depending on their cell provider. But for me, I had to go all the way back into town before I got service, you know, which was an hour drive. But yeah, as far as day one and everything, kind of setting the scene here, the conditions were very good. it was falling. The water was falling though, but it was falling very slowly. It's not like a TVA where they're just dumping, 80, 100K. But and I think on Friday, or I think Saturday, they actually cut it off. I met across a guy on the lake, and he said, yeah, he looked at it earlier that morning, and they weren't spilling any more water. So I think they got it back down to full pool, but it was maybe like 4 or 5 feet over full pool, like earlier in the week. So falling water, clear water, where we were at up in the river and stuff, it was slightly stained, but, still very good visibility. I would say about, probably 2 feet visibility where I was. But so as the day progressed, the water stopped moving through the dam and all that kind of stuff. And the fishing got a little bit tougher on Sunday to some degree, but it changed. The bite changed. For me, it was the same deal, top water. I caught all my fish, a ton of fish on a buzz bait all day long, and couldn't, you and I both talked about this. We couldn't get bit on a Texas rig or anything else. They weren't touching it.
Yeah.
Did you happen to throw any kind of moving baits, like a crankbait or anything like that on day one?
I did not on day one, because I was just flat catching so dang many fish on the top water and a spinnerbait that it was like, me. I get focused on that bite. It's coming off of it. I did throw a Texas rig a little bit, a couple times trying to catch something bigger. But I just could not get it off that focus. I did throw it some on Sunday and did catch some fish on Sunday on a crankbait. I started throwing a little DT6 around the edge of those bluff walls and did catch some fish. But I was catching a lot of white bass doing that too. So it was kind of one of those things where that bigger spinnerbait blade I didn't catch as many of the white bass on it. So I got back off that DT6 so I didn't have to pull with them. Although when I would get bored, I would start throwing it again just to catch them chokers, because they were stacked in there too.
Yeah. It was really obvious. Like, so we all have depth finders and stuff like that on our boat, but a lot of people use them to look for fish. But something I picked up on a lot, man, and you can kind of tell me if your experience is the same. I quit using my depth finder to try and just look for fish. I'm looking for the depth that the majority of the fish are in, but I'm also looking at how the fish are oriented. And it was just so definitive how these fish were relating to that upper water column, and how the arches on the screen, they were all faced up. You could tell they were looking up. But on day two, it was different. The arches were more normal like that, and they're looking down, but also even on day two, because on day two, we started catching them on a Texas rig. And the fish, like on my screen, the top 5 feet was completely blank. They weren't even relating to that top water portion. Now there were some still up there that were, but the majority of the ones that I caught on day two on top water were real small ones.
Yeah.
But a lot more fish had moved down. I don't know if it's just a pressure change, or if there just wasn't that flow of water anymore, and it kind of repositioned them back down, or whatever the case may have been. But it was so obvious, just looking at your screen and just looking at how the fish are oriented and the direction, like of the arches and stuff like that. It can really clue you in a lot to kind of what you should be doing, or at least attempt to do. But about how long you were throwing the pop R and stuff like that? Did that same bite last for you at all in the morning? Did you have very much like of a good like early morning bite on day two?
My day two was slower than day one, and it really felt like it should have been better than day one, because I had the cloud cover and I had the fog and all that in the area. I had better consistency of bites, bigger bites on day two, but they weren't as numerous. But I'm going to attribute part of that to just the pressure that was in my area on day one, because dude, it was insane. I had nobody in there with me on day two either, which was the other crazy part. Did
you have any bass boats come up there at all?
No, not
I didn't see it. I saw maybe one at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I only had one other kayaker there for the first part of the morning on day 2, and
Yeah.
he was fishing a little backwater area, which he had caught 84 inches out of on day 1. And when he came out there, he had only caught 2 fish, and was headed to somewhere else just to go try to salvage his day. But I only caught 3 what I would call keepers on day 2 in the first hour or 2, but they were 3 better ones than what I had been catching on day 1 for the most part. I mean, on the average size. So, because I had a 14 and a half, a 15 and a half, almost 16, 15 3/4, and a 17 and a half inch fish in the first. That was my first 3 fish. Now, I did tie on a spinner bait and busted a 16 or 17 incher off because, it's one of my practice. It's one of those spinner baits I've been fishing for about 2 or 3 months, and I've been catching a crap ton of fish on it. And when I tied it on, I said, this is probably stupid. Learning lesson.
I think I saw it in the hotel Saturday night, and I looked at it. I was like, man, that thing looks beat the hell up.
I have caught probably 300 fish on that thing, and I threw it Sunday morning and literally had a 16-incher load up on that thing and jumped 3 times. And on the 3rd time it jumped, I saw fish go one way, one part of the spinner bait go one way, and the blades and the rest of the wire were stuck to the end of my line. I'm like,
it just fell apart on you. Yeah.
So,
yeah, man, they were so aggressive down there. I mean, they were go berserk. I lost the 3 better bites that I got on day 2. They all came off. Oh, one I broke off. I didn't retie. I don't know what. I had been retying, but I guess I nicked it up or something over the past couple of casts, and for whatever reason, I decided to set the hook. Like most of the time when I was getting bit on that buzzbait, I was just leaning into it because that hook is so sharp. But this one, it felt like a bigger fish, and I in my head, because I lost a big fish on day 1, I was thinking, dude, you didn't really set the hook on that fish, and it's got a thicker mouth. It's a bigger fish. Maybe you need to set the hook if you get a bigger bite next time. And I got a bigger bite, set the hook, and it daggone broke. So I don't know. I don't really know what to blame there, but all the other 2 bigger bites that I got, they would come up and they would just annihilate it, and then just go complete berserk and just jump them and just go crazy. And so I mean, they were throwing it quite a bit. Even with a trailer hook on it. So, but
I mean, I was throwing treble hooked top waters, and I had several fish throw them things and several fish not get them ate good. I mean, it just drove me crazy, but it was fun. I mean, I think the reason those fish are so aggressive in that lake is I think there's so daggum many 13 to 16 inch fish in that lake. They have to be aggressive so they get to eat. Otherwise, they're going to starve to death.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of people in the comments, Seth and David, man, glad to see you guys. David, this is a Lines End shirt, but it is actually, I ordered it. I made it and I ordered it, and it was supposed to have something on the back, but they didn't print the back. So I actually ordered another one today. It's really cool. So I was actually going to mention this at some point when I got that, but if you guys are interested in one, let me know. And we'll hook you up. We'll get you one. But Seth is going to be in Memphis from May 30th to June 3rd. Care to have a live audience? Absolutely, man. Come stop by David's studio. We'll get you in there. I may even come up and we'll just do a 3-peat up there.
There you go. We've had that on before. He's a good one.
Yeah. Well, he's always on here, man. He's always on here. One of our more consistent viewers. So we greatly appreciate you always tuning in. I saw you responded about the shipping the kayaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
actually, Seth, the easiest way to do that might be if I get into this dang tournament in July and you want to get it bought by July, I might just deliver it on my way to Pennsylvania. That'd be more or less the closest I'm going to be to you. We'll throw it on top of the Outback.
Yeah. So, David, we were talking about the Enid tournament earlier. I don't know if you had heard, but David heard that some really big bags were called out at Enid this past weekend. So it's lining up to be a good tournament. And just to reiterate, we're going to be putting together captain's meeting just in a setting like this. And we're going to put it up on the Lines and Yak Fishing website for you guys to go and view and everything. So you can get everything prepared, and hopefully it'll answer as many questions as you have. If you still have questions, then you can contact myself or David. But yeah, so Broken Bow, 4th stop of the Hobie Bass Open Series. Great turnout. It was really tight weight, tight limits all the way through, even where you placed, David. It was like, a four-way tie. Yeah. And there was many of those, many four-way ties. And I've heard it from other people that there was no real way to target the bigger fish. Saw quite a few live or Facebook videos and stuff like that, people talking about it. And Cody Milton, he was up there in the top 3 or top 5. And the man he said he was covering like 10, 20, or 20 miles, because he said he covered like 40 miles over 2 days. So he was covering about 20 miles a day. That's insane.
He's a hell of a lot younger than me.
Dude, you and I both were hurting. We were both hurting after day one.
Yeah,
but,
buddy.
Yeah, that motor would have helped out for sure. But so here's the bad news, and hopefully you guys take this as a learning lesson for those of you that are fishing the kayak tournaments. Always double check yourself. My mistake on day 2 cost me all my fish. I gotta say, it is my fault, but there's just some confusion because, David, I've heard this from now 4 other people, Noah Stevens, Ashley, Chuck Smith, and there was one other that said they've all fallen victim to that same code thing. Yeah. And it, for whatever reason, Tourney X, I think that there's some kind of system requirement. They go in and they plug in some kind of code. It's just kind of like a substitute code. It's not an active code, but it's actually, from what Ashley told me, it's actually the code that represents that tournament. So 24 SR is what I saw. So that's the software code for that particular tournament. Gotcha. But for whatever reason, if you go into the identifier on Tourney X, it shows that code. So not knowing that, I wrote down that code, fished all day with it, didn't have service, so I didn't get that immediate feedback and get back to town and upload all my fish. I'm like, man, I was actually sitting there thinking, like, man, should I just go ahead and go home, or should I actually wait to see if I, get called into the top 10 or whatever, top 18? And then I get a call, but it was the wrong phone call. So it's a bummer. But I just want to make that aware to as many people as possible, so nobody else makes that mistake. If you get in there and you see some 4-digit code, it's not the right code. Make sure you look at the email or any information that's put out through the captain, through the tournament directors or Tourney X themselves, and look for that appropriate code, so it won't cost you.
There you go.
But so yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. Beautiful area, great area. I mean, I would definitely recommend it just to get out and go visit a new lake. It's not that far; it's about 5.5 hours. So it's you can get there. It's a good little weekend trip.
Yeah,
but
pretty little drive once you get through Hot Springs, that Arkadelphia area, and get off the interstate. You're driving through hills and mountains all the way over. It's pretty. And to reiterate on the reading the rules thing, I cost myself 3 miles a day, actually closer to 4.5 to 5 miles a day of pedaling, because I assumed that the rules were the same as they were the last year for off limits. And there was another boat ramp a mile from where I was fishing that I could have went and watched from and knew it was there, but just assumed it was an off limits boat ramp. And it was perfectly legal. There was 6 guys from the tournament that launched out of there and didn't have to pedal near as far as I did.
Was that the cutoff or the boundary up there?
Cutoff, actually, the Wheeling Dam, which is the next road up past that boat ramp,
And I would have loved to have went and looked at that area because that's where all the river really comes in. That's where all those rocks and stuff are.
Yeah.
As you're coming in. I would have loved to have went and looked at that area to see if you could catch some fish up there. Next time I go, I definitely will go along from that boat ramp just to go look at it. And I told you Saturday or Friday when I was practicing, I was headed up that way just to go look at it, and should have done it. And I should have went up there and double checked. I should have double checked the rules and found where that boat ramp was. It would save me a crap ton of pedaling. It would be a lot easier on me. But,
yeah.
Stupid, small part.
Did you go up that creek at all? That was on the east side. Up there, it's up the river, and it goes off in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's fish all up there. Didn't matter if you're on the east side, the west side. I mean, every one of those little creeks had fish in the back of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It was that actual creek that comes off the river.
Oh, further on up. No, I did not make it all the way up to there. That was
okay.
I mean, at that point, I was at the 5.5 miles from the boat ramp point. I did go almost all the way to there on practice day.
Yeah,
I could see it.
That's that point of, you know, do I continue going for any further because I know I got to go all the way back.
Well, that's where I was, and at that time I was already beginning to burn as well. So I was like, you know, I really need to head back and go get out of the sun before I freaking end up totally fried. So, which I ended up fried anyway. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of fun, man. Even with my mishap, I had a lot of fun. So we got some other stuff. I mean, there's still a lot of fishing coming up. Smith Lake is this weekend. I'll be in Alabama for that one. And then Chickamauga is coming up, and then Hobie BOS takes its northern swing after that. Starts hitting the Fox River and the Susquehanna and another one. Can't remember. And then they come back down to Dardanelle to finish out the season. So pretty tight angler of the AOY race. A lot of there's quite a few anglers up there that are doing really good. This last one was won by Ewing Minor. I was trying to get in touch with him to get him on tonight, but he didn't see my message. So we'll maybe have to do that another time. But anything else you want to add about that tournament, man? It was one of those deals like, it was easy to catch fish, but at the same time, it was just kind of brain rattling to try and figure out how to catch those bigger ones. It seemed like I just had to cover a lot of water.
I think that was a key to it. I mean, I think the key to it was, this is one of those things I want to say. Sometimes there's things rattling around in the back of your head, and you've got to listen to those things. That was my failure. If I had to say, I mean, I fished 2 really good days, consistent days. I mean, 79.25 on day 1, 79 on day 2. It's the first consistent 2 days I put together this year. I mean, I've always screwed up one day or the other all year so far. So I was happy with that result. But in the back of my mind, I had rattling around, hey, the water's falling. The water's been falling for weeks. You need to be a little off the bank a little bit, just a little bit. And that's kind of why I was fishing the bluff wall thing.
Yeah.
But on day 1, I told myself I needed to go back towards the boat ramp and fish some stuff, and didn't go do it. I kept staying in the area I was in, trying to coal up, and I did. And I coaled up all day long. On day 2, I kept telling myself the same thing again. I didn't start back until 1 o'clock. And I literally coaled twice on the way back, doing what makes absolutely the most sense of anything that you can ever do when the water's falling. And as I was going back, there's 100,000 little pea gravel points.
Yeah.
Going back towards the boat ramp. And literally caught a 15 on one of them. No, 15 and a half. Caught a 16 and a half on one of them. Lost another good fish on one of them. And I should have listened to my brain and went back a little bit earlier and did that on day 1, and maybe I would have keyed on that and went to that plastics bite. I mean, I started catching them on a Texas rig, a little off the bank. Literally, my last fish on day 2 at 2:29, I make the cast, I backlash, I'm peeling that thing out real quick. get it coming, and as soon as I start reeling, there's a 16.5-inch fish on there. Crank it in really fast, throw it on the board, trying to get a picture. Fish would not be still for freaking nothing. I took 3 pictures before I got one that I thought would be legal, and was still questioning whether it was going to be legal. I was afraid I had my hand too far forward, and
yeah,
it went. So I mean, it's fine. Of course, it didn't really help me that much, but I mean, it's a couple extra points probably. But
I had numerous pictures of the fish like mid flop,
Yeah.
just
they're crazy suckers. They did not want to be still for nothing.
No, they didn't like the camera at all. But I'm with you on the decision making, because on day one, man, I was throwing that buzzbait, up around the flooded buckbrush, and it was real tight to the bank. I mean, there was bait all up in there, jumping in, little minnows jumping across the water, fish just busting. I mean, and there was just so much activity, and there's probably maybe about 15-yard stretch, 20 yards from the buckbrush to where the contour started dropping off, where I was at in this cove. And on day one, they were all on that top shelf part, but then on day two, it was so obvious, so quick. And you hear this all the time, let the fish tell you what they're doing, what they want, all that kind of stuff. And they will, if you're paying attention, not only to what they're wanting to bite, but where they are. And like David, like you mentioned, that water had been dropping. It quit dropping at the end of, or I would probably say midday Saturday is probably when it leveled off. But even when it's dropping like that, they're gonna go frantic. They're gonna bite a lot, and then once it starts leveling off, then they're gonna drop back out a little bit. But that's exactly what happened day two. They weren't up in that, that top shelf area as much. There was a couple, but those big fish were out deeper. At least that's where I'm guessing they went, and they just weren't biting that well. But I actually just kind of backed off the bank, about 10 yards, kept throwing the buzzbait, kept catching them that way, but they just weren't, as shallow as they were the day before. But and then same as you, picked up that Texas rig and started catching them that way as well. So. But man, they were so aggressive. Yeah, I was hung up. I was wrapped over the top of logs, and they were coming up and just drilling it. So it was a lot of fun.
I literally had one eat that topwater on day two, and I'm watching 3 more bigger than it trying to take it. And I'm just letting that fish swim around, hoping one of them would be able to get hooked up, so I could pull it in. But
yeah,
it is what it is. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, what's next for you, David?
I really don't have a tournament scheduled again until hopefully July for Pennsylvania, if everything works out. I mean, last I checked, I was still 15th on the waiting list. I'm hoping to get to go fish the Susquehanna. I'm going to make sure I've got 3 alarms already set for Friday morning to make sure I get registered for Wisconsin for wolf and
fox
in the Fox Rivers, and then other than that, I'm gonna try to jump in on WTBY or so, and then I'll be in mid-June. I'll be in Louisiana for the Louisiana Sportsman Show. Looking forward to that.
Oh yeah. We need to talk some more about that.
We got to talk about that too. So,
yeah.
But other than that, as far as I'm gonna go fish the little online state thing a little bit this month and try to do good in that. Just for some practice time. And just play around with that for a minute. I'm gonna try to go fishing. Maybe won't be in the morning, probably Thursday morning for a minute.
Yeah. So we are we're working on getting a representative from the TWRA to come on the show. We're trying to get that set up and talk about Herb and talk about the Bill Dance Trophy Lakes that they're working on here in Tennessee, because Herb Parsons is ridiculously low. It's the lowest it's probably been in a very long time, if not ever. And from what I hear, they're trying to get some heavy equipment out there to either reshape the contours, change up the structure, add new cover, or whatever the case, whatever they're trying to do. Heavy equipment, to me, says they're trying to do some serious stuff, probably changing up, they got that little backwater pond and stuff. They may be trying to bust through that and just open that little section up, and hopefully they go off in the back and and dig it out a little bit, that big flat back there. But anyways, we want to hear about that. But if you guys have anybody that you guys would like us to talk to, man, let us know. We're always willing to reach out to somebody and get some people on here that you guys would like to hear from, hear us interview and stuff like that. So we always care about what our listeners want to hear. So let us know either in the comments, send one of us a message, or shoot us an email, linesandyakfishing@gmail.com. And we definitely want to hear from you guys. So just David, you're talking about WTBY. I know the next one they got coming up is in June, or no, I'm sorry, yeah,
June 11th.
June 11th, I think. Yeah, so somewhere around there. It's gonna be at Gibson County Lake. So that's another one of those Bill Days trophy lakes, well known for big fish. So that's gonna be a good tournament. But anything else you want to add, David? Anything else going on in the store? Anything you want to mention?
Man, we got a lot of freaking kayaks right now.
Get that Ike edition up there.
We got an Ike edition up here. I've got a 360 PA14, I got two 360 PA12s. I've got a bunch of lynxes in. I've got compasses and passports, and I've got new canoes. If you haven't come up here, if you've been thinking about a trolling motor and you haven't been up here, come up here and just see the two trolling motors that we have. We have the new 4-vessel NV8 180s, and we have the XI3s. I have one of those rigged on both of these boats that you can come check out. Really, really cool setups. They're on new canoes right now. I don't have them on a Hobie. You may see one on a Hobie out back soon. That's probably going to happen sooner than later.
I don't know if they make a mount for it yet. Well,
no, the beauty of the Outback is an NV180 goes directly on the back of the Outback and where the power pole thing sits.
Well, yeah, the NK. I thought you were talking about the Motor Guide.
No, not for the Motor Guide. No, I don't know if anybody makes a mount for the Motor Guide one. I'm sure there's a way to rig one, but all I want it for is to get me from point A to point B when I have to go a quarter of a mile and not kill my leg.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Although, as much as I've gained in the last couple of weeks, I probably need to be doing it. But anyway,
dude, I come back from a Hobie tournament weighing about 5 pounds less. It's probably water weight.
Oh, I did. I dropped about 5 pounds this weekend.
I think you and I both ate a full pizza Saturday night to ourselves.
I did eat a full pizza.
And dude, I felt like I was still hungry afterwards. It just, man, it is a very physically demanding sport. So you're gonna burn some calories. He said, David says, I have had questions asked me about the difference between Newport and XI3. Any put so I can pass on. Yeah, I mean, the way I explain it, David, is the Newport and the XI3 is a multi-function tool, multi-purpose tool. They're both tools, to serve a purpose. But with the XI3, you can run 4.5 miles an hour. So you get the benefits of getting from point A to point B. But then if you go with the GPS version, you've got the spot, or anchor mode capabilities, as well as heading lock. You can save a route and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to get you out to where you want to go, and then it's going to help you with boat positioning, while you're out there fishing the area that you want to fish. Whereas the Newport or the Torpedo, it's just a single function tool. It's just meant to get you from point A to point B. So, it really depends. It really just kind of boils down to the kayak that you're putting it on, and and what you want a motor for. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I'll say one other thing about that too is one of the beauties of the XI3 is it's one single 12-volt battery as opposed to dealing with either two 12 volts or having to buy a 24 volt.
Yeah.
Because the 24 volt on the Newport it makes it a little bit more cumbersome. But other than that, I mean, they're both great options. The XI3 has a lot of extra, and that is the one thing I mean, there's some pieces there I have, but
For
Yeah.
my purposes and the way I fish, the Newport's perfect. I mean, just because I'm not out there, I'm not a ledge fisher. I'll leave that crap to them.
We haven't had much of those opportunities yet, so
Yeah.
I don't call myself a ledge fisherman. It's just something I like to do every once in a while, or when I get the chance. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Because that is something definitely to take into consideration. 12-volt versus 24-volt. Now, our sponsor Battleborn of the show, they have a 50 amp hour 24-volt ready to go, or you can do 2 of their 50 amp hour 12 volts, or 2 of their 75 amp hour 12 volts, or if you want to go nuts and get 2 of the 100 amp hours, you can do that. But yeah, it is a lot more now, and I have seen that. I mean, there's some guys on the One Objective guys, they got a massive battery box where they have separate batteries for their motors, and they have an NK 180 on the back, and they have a XI3 on the front with 2 graphs. You get where I'm going with this. It's extra. It's a lot. That is a rigged out kayak, but
yeah.
But yeah, you got a lot of different options there. I'm getting about 12, 13 miles on a single charge with my 100 amp hour 12-volt Battleborn, but that's going full throttle. That's not letting off it at all. So if I bump it down to 80% or 75%, I could probably get it even more. But 12, 13 miles run around, that's typically about what I do, pedaling as well, if I have to do all that. So a lot of options out there, but if David, if anybody needs any reference on rigging one up, Battleborn, XI3 on their Hobie, let me know and I can send some pictures or something. So
yeah, we need to talk. I got a couple things we'll talk to you about on that too. So
yeah, but man, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us tonight. Anything else you got, David?
No, come out, see me this weekend. If you're not fishing somewhere, I'm going to be here all weekend this weekend. I'll be here through next weekend when we're getting ready for the St. Jude event. And then we'll be out there Saturday and Sunday. And then we will be closed on Memorial Day, on that Monday. But all my staff spend some time with their family. But we got lots of stuff to choose from. Lots of new stuff going on in the shop. There's a lot of changes going on in the shop. It's kind of disrupted some things. But as the next month or so goes on, we'll make more and more announcements, and you're going to need to come out and see some of the things we got changing. There's going to be a vast change in the way the kayak shop and the tackle shop's laid out. It's going to be more interchangeable. You're going to see displays of tackle mixed in with kayaks and kayaks mixed in with the fishing tackle. So it's going to be neat. We're working on some really cool updates and making some big changes in the store right now. So come see it.
Seth is asking, will you be there May 30th through the 3rd? Are you? Is that a question for David, Seth?
Yeah, I will be here. May 30th is Memorial Day, right? Because
that is Memorial Day. Yeah.
So the 30th we will not be here, but we will be here the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So
good deal. There you go. All right, guys, y'all take care, man. Hope you. This weather is awesome, man. Get outside, enjoy some of this nice weather. Hopefully, get out and do a little fishing as well. Stop by, see David, go get you some tackle. Stop in, check out the kayak accessories and everything at S.Y. Wilson. You guys take care, and we will see you later.